So, if anybody feels up for doing a little last week on Tomb of Annihilation, they are more than welcome to do so for an inspiration. Uh, well, uh, um, I know we ended the session in a place called the Hanging Gardens of Nangalore, which was uh, an old monument built to an ancient Choltean queen who was eventually banished to the gardens um, and has been living here ever since. And she's transformed into a Medusa, and she's been living here uh, for several hundred years now, I believe. Uh, in guilt and pain over believing that her most trusted general in her life had betrayed her, and one day eventually she learned that wasn't quite true, and you guys had a short conversation with her about the gardens, and she had a large black lotus growing inside of her little chambers that she was sitting on her throne in, and you asked her about it, and she wasn't willing to part with it, but I believe that you guys are still now just in the gardens of Nangalore. I believe you had been made a stop here on your way to um, Kirsabal to see what the Arakakra were all about. But I think we just ended last week with her telling you guys that you could explore her gardens freely if you needed to or wanted to, and you could take anything that might assist you, but except for her Black Lotus.
Well, do ask, is there anything she needs of us? Can
um,
we help her in any way?
uh, Zalcor says, um, the life I once knew was long ago. I don't think that there's anything that you can do for me to bring that life back. I'm content now here in my gardens for the most part, tending to my flowers and plants, and I'm afraid there's not much left for me out in the real world anymore.
Got you. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I think we got pretty much everything we needed here.
I have a question for this lady. What's her name?
Zal-
Zalcore?
Zalcor, yeah.
You mentioned earlier that the Arakakra used this Black Lotus for some sort of ritual. Do you know which ritual that is?
Um, she says, people have come here before to try and steal my lotus. I believe that the ritual that the Arakakra perform with it is called the Dance of the Seven Winds.
And what does that exactly do? Why were people so intent on getting it from you?
It allows those who take part in the ritual to fly.
Okay. I I turn around so she's not facing me, and then I wink at everyone else.
Come on, guys. Let's get these flowers so we can get some help.
Okay, so I guess I will follow Garn's lead and do what he's doing.
Oh yeah, so you can pilfer like so up on the Dias kind of where all the stonework is. It's about 20 feet above the central gardens, so they all kind of have these stairwells that go down into the gardens below, and so most of the growth it takes place underneath all of the raised platforms here below the statuary and stuff like that. So you have to kind of descend down into the gardens themselves that kind of sprawl out beneath the palisades here.
We don't care about that. That was just to get everybody together to actually talk about what we're going to do if these other two will come down here.
Yeah, because it looks like one way or the other we're going to need to get that flower from her for the flying spell.
The thing is, do we really need the flying spell? Like, we have people who can fly. Like, we could get up there if we need to fly like short distances.
Do you want to cross the jungle? That's the question.
That's where this whole fly thing comes in. If we can get it to go, because right now we know it's at least probably 20 to 30 days to get where we need to go from here, or maybe fly in one.
Yeah, by that time I think Sindra would be dead.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's some. Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys want to do.
Well, get down
Oh.
here.
Yeah, I'm just tying my shoe. I'm tying my shoe. Okay.
We have a bunch of thieves in this party. Couldn't one of you just steal it from her?
I think that is not my forte. I would ask Wuce. Wuce is quite talented at that.
So we're picking flowers as we're talking, though, to make it. If you look out the door, we are picking flowers.
Sure, so you've kind of gone down into the gardens and are like picking random stuff.
Yeah. Well, looking for the real thing, but yeah, random stuff.
Making little flower crowns and stuff.
And nobody's actually like an herbalist or an alchemist, right? Like it's just more poison or
I have an herbalism kit.
Oh, do you?
I do.
And I think Wuce has that book that like identifies things. I don't know if they're like pictures or descriptions or anything like that we got from the Emerald Enclave where we like pillaged that guy's house.
Yeah, I think there's probably information about some of the stuff that grows. There's stuff in the garden here. There's stuff in the garden here that you guys have not seen ever since you've been on Chult through all your travels in the jungles. Like she's got some pretty exotic plants and flowers and stuff like that are growing down here that might not even be necessarily native to the island. And it's just stuff that she finds beautiful, you know, and she's able to keep alive.
The things that we found, that we see, that we've never seen in the garden, we make sure we get seeds for.
Is there anything I can make potions out of here?
Oh yeah, why don't you give me a check on your herbalism?
How do I put the kit in my tools? It's like in my items instead.
You just create a new proficiency basically, and if you're proficient in it, then it would be a d20 plus your intelligence probably plus your proficiency bonus to make a roll with it.
Sorry, I don't have all this stuff set up.
Yeah, it's no worries.
15.
Nice. So, yeah, you do find some stuff that that you would recognize as ingredients for different types of potions. Um, you find some a pretty good amount of uh, lavender sprig, which you know is a used when you're making a potion, a potion or toxin more stable and safer to craft. Um, you find a flower that this is actually very rare. Um, Something called basilisk's breath slowly paralyzes an opponent when you make a poison out of it.
How much of this?
I'd say probably like 2 doses worth.
Each or
The mandrake root maybe 5. The basil express 2. You find some fiend's ivy growing in one corner. That's used in creating potions of mind reading. You find some nightshade berries used to create oil of slipperiness.
So lubricant.
Yeah, and
what's the fiend's ivy for again? Sorry.
fiend's ivy is used in creating potions of mind reading.
And the mandrake root was for.
The mandrake root is used in making when you're making potions. It typically makes it safer and more stable.
Cool.
And
you said basilisk and lavender.
yeah, yeah.
When you say safer, is that safer to imbibe or safer like not exploding kind of thing?
Yeah, like when you're brewing it, it makes it more stable in the process of brewing a potion or making a poison.
Okay.
Yeah, basilisk's breath and lavender sprig as well. Yes.
So how much lavender and what's that for?
Oh wait, maybe I. Sorry, the mandrake root reduces any disease or poison potency by half, and the lavender sprig makes the potion or toxin more stable and safer to craft. Sorry.
Cool.
So the lavender and the mandrake root you find about equal amounts of, which is like 5 uses.
Okay.
The basilisk's breath 2 uses. The fiend's ivy and probably 2 uses as well. And the last thing you find down there that you would recognize as something kind of usable is blue toadshade, used to create potion of gaseous form. And you find maybe 3 uses of that.
Cool. So how much nightshade berries and what's basilisk breath used for?
Nightshade berries, 3 uses to make oil of slipperiness, and basilisk's breath is a slow paralyzing poison.
Cool. All right, I got it all documented for you, Carlos.
Thank you so much.
Can I do that for my poisoners kit too then?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
It's proficiency plus what?
Probably your intelligence.
Whoops. So 12.
Um, you find some more basilisk breath, maybe 2 more uses, and you extract some cactus juice as well. And what that does is it'll modify a poison to the target will not take any poison damage effect in their system until they will not notice any poison damage effect in their system until they take 5 rounds of damage from the toxin.
Oh, nice.
Got it. And how many of that?
With the 12, probably just 2 doses, 2 uses.
Okay, I got it. Rito, if you...
Is in the party loot?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Under Flora.
The only thing that you notice while you're down in the gardens is Zalcor does leave her her chamber momentarily, but it is only to wander over to the central platform to check on the ashes, the urn of ashes, and then she goes back to her chamber.
Does she do this often? Does she do this repeatedly?
How often do you spend down in the gardens?
Well, I would like to spend as long as it takes to see if this is like a rotation or a cycle, and then also watch how long it takes her to do this.
The first time, it's a short walk. It takes her about 60, 90 seconds maybe to walk over from her chamber to the central statue platform, and she just spends a few moments. She kind of kneels down next to the urn and puts her hand on it, and I mean, you can't see her doing any of this because you're below her, but you think she spends maybe another 90 seconds or so in there. And then, she makes her way back. So maybe, 4 minutes in total time.
Okay.
But you guys spend, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and she only does it the one time. And after 15 minutes goes by,
Okay, well, then I want to walk over nonchalantly to all the people and relay this information to her or to them about how long it would take for her to do this kind of checkup on the ashes, and then,
Sure.
I don't know, suggest to them, what do you guys think about during this time, kind of someone grab the orchid and we make a run for it? Or do you have a better idea?
Sounds good
Sounds
to
as
me.
good idea as any.
I think I suggest, like, our best thief take care of it, or our fastest mover.
What you say, Wuce? You know he's talking about you.
I don't very much appreciate being volunteered to steal something.
Well, we're asking you.
We've already talked to this person and they just won't give it up. We
Yeah.
tried persuading them into seeing what it would take for us to have it.
Yeah, she's a total bitch, selfish for her own power. What don't you get about that?
We actually did try a number of times to figure out what she would want for it, and basically she says she's content and is not going to give it up.
And so what happens if I try and steal it and that doesn't work out?
We defend ourselves when she attacks you.
So where are you guys gonna be while I'm in there?
Probably right here. Or around here. Ready to get the fuck out. If it makes you feel any better, I can make you invisible.
Yeah, how's that work?
I give you a good pat on the shoulder and suddenly no one can see you.
Okay, where do you guys want me to meet you once I steal this? What is it?
The Black Orchid.
Go north because I don't see any freaking river that way, and so we don't have alligators to have to contend with while we're running our butts off to get away from this town.
And she's just carrying an other person?
No,
No,
it's in that container in the building that she's in.
Do we know which container?
Yeah, we saw it. It was in front of her.
Is there another alternative? Are you worried about?
I mean, I
I'm a
guess
little worried that, you guys don't want to just fight her.
Well, from what we see and from what we've been told, she's a Medusa. So, yeah, we do have a problem about trying to fight her.
Yeah, so I'm worried that if things go awry, that I'm stuck in there with her by myself.
You've got the greatest chance of getting away from her.
Alright, you guys know exactly what this thing looks like that I'm going in there for?
It's a black flower.
Black Orchid.
How long am I invisible for?
I think an hour. Yep, an hour.
If you're super worried about this, I could make everyone, be a little ways out, and I could stay closer and set up some sort of a, like a getaway driver kind of thing. So you just basically need to bust out of the room and jump on my back and we'll go.
He's faster than you are.
Not if I have a horse.
You can summon a horse,
Give me 10 minutes, I can find something.
or he can just use his cloak and just get really far away in a couple of seconds.
That was my thought. I could do that.
Sure. Just offering a suggestion.
So if we've gotten all we needed out of the gardens, let's the rest of us get the hell out of the way. Because I really don't want to be around when she gets mad.
With pleasure.
Don't forget to get Wuce's invisibility.
Oh yeah.
Alright, I guess we're doing this.
So,
Never seen a rogue so reluctant to try to be a rogue.
so Sorey, you cast invisibility on Wuce, and the rest of you leave Nangalore off through the north.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you wave at Zalcor as you pass by?
Yeah, tell her thank you for letting us use the garden.
Cool.
All right, I guess I'm gonna try and sneakily come in, and then position myself, um, like in between the closest exit to the container and the container, and then wait for a moment where she's not. Wait, hold on a second. Did anyone check this container to see if it's like has any traps or anything on it?
So
No, because she was like standing there.
these doors here are currently closed. The front doors to her chambers are open though.
Which one's the front door?
The ones on this side. So the doors on the pool side are currently closed, but the ones on the front part where the stonework is, the stone pathway is open.
Okay, I guess I'll sneakily, stealthily try and enter it that way.
Um, okay, yeah, sure. You're invisible, but you can also make a stealth check if you want. But I mean, invisibility is like she just won't be able to see you unless she has some magical means of doing so.
So do you want me to roll stealth or what?
Oh boy.
No, you can't. I mean, you can if you want, but it's I guess it could be for like also remaining quiet and stuff.
Well, that was my thought.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a stealth check as well. So when you peek your head in her open doorways, you can see her. Um, she's got near the back of the room. There's a large mirror hung on the wall, and there are various barrels and crates and a chest, a few different chests, and she's got a little work table. Um, and there's a small potted plant on the floor nearby, where she typically sits. And growing out of the pot is the black orchid that they were talking about. She's currently standing, kind of through her veil, just looking at herself in the mirror.
Say that last part. Sorry.
What you see Zalcor currently doing is she's standing near the back of her chamber, staring at herself in the mirror through her veil.
So like back there.
It's kind of like over in this corner here, near the other set of doors.
Okay, I'm gonna try and make my way towards the container the Black Lotus is in, being mindful of looking out for traps and the whatnot, I guess.
Sure. The pot's probably, it probably weighs maybe like 3 pounds. It's not very big.
Wait, so where's the pot?
It's maybe about 15 feet inside the doorway.
Is there anything special looking about the pot?
It looks like it's it looks like was probably made, on the island. It looks like it's consistent with like the art style of, something that might be made in Port 9 Zaru, but it looks pretty old. There are kind of some of the paint on it is now kind of flaked and chipping away, and there's a crack running down one side of it, and but other than that, I mean, no, it just looks kind of like a piece of pottery.
And it doesn't look booby trapped at all.
You can make a perception check, but not as far as you can tell. Yeah, it doesn't look booby trapped to you at all.
Alright, I guess when it seems like she's real distracted by looking at herself or whatever she's doing, and try and sneakily put the pot under my cloak and then leave, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, she actually turns away from the mirror and she crosses to the far side, basically opposite of where she was standing. So kind of like she crosses kind of over in this direction, and she lifts the lid of one of the crates over here, and she picks up a small burlap sack off the floor. She begins to fill it with grain or seeds from one of the crates. So she's still kind of got her back mostly turned towards you, or yeah, she's got her back like mostly facing you. So now's as good a time as any if you're gonna swipe it.
All right, let's do it. What do you need me to roll?
Nothing. You run in and you snatch the whole pod, or do you like rip the orchid out of it?
What? I guess whatever seems quicker.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably seem quicker to just snatch up the whole pot.
Yeah, that's what I'll do then.
Okay, yeah. So you pick up the pot and you turn and you just run back towards the doorway.
Stealthily, yep. Just
Okay.
trying to get out of there.
Yeah, so you get out and you make your way around the outside of the building, and as you're leaping down the wall on the outside, you hear Zalcor scream out, no, my orchid! You thieves, come back! And you can hear her like getting agitated and yelling now, and the doors burst open on the closed doors that were shut burst open just as you like are dropping over the 20-foot wall down to the rest of the party, and you guys can start running off if you want to.
I'm gonna book it.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't go any further because the map doesn't go any further.
Yeah, you'll just be running off into the jungles, basically.
I just
But
scream over my shoulder, like, I'm sorry.
But I'm gonna make sure that Wuce is out too. I'm gonna like keep looking over my shoulder, looking for him, signs of him rather.
Yeah, you guys see Wuce basically.
Did I notice him doing that?
Yeah, probably. I mean, how far did you get?
How far away? For me, I'll message him, telling him where I'm at.
How far away did you guys go? Outside of the. How far away did you guys go outside of the garden walls?
About 100 feet.
100 feet, yeah. So you guys would see Wuce basically jump off the backside of the garden the garden walls and drop down.
No, we don't.
Oh no, yeah, because he's invisible, huh? So
that's why I'd message them to tell them where I'm at, though.
Yeah. So if they're only 100 feet away, then they'd be in range of your message wand.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So you get a message.
H out of dodge, guys.
All right, let's do it. Well, right now she might show up in our dreams and kill us all.
Well, you see her step out of her chamber through the side doors, and you see her wade out kind of into the pools a little bit, and you see her kind of frantically looking around, and she comes back up the stairs and looks out into the jungles, but you guys have managed to, get far enough out that you can find some cover, and you see her just peering out into the jungles, trying to spot anything she can or any sign of you guys, but it doesn't seem like she can see you from where you've taken cover, and Wuce, eventually you make it to where the rest of the party is, and you guys are able to run off into the jungles, and it seems like you've escaped with the orchid.
And everything she does see turns to stone.
So you abscond.
Yeah,
You abscond.
probably-
You abscond with
Uh-huh.
her. You abscond with her rare flower, and you guys are free to do what you want now.
Woosty Flowers, another one.
Oh,
Is that a good thing?
For us, maybe we can fly now.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
just took the whole pot.
Oh my god. Well, perhaps the people at Kirsabal will pay a hefty price for the use of this pot. I mean, not that we don't need it ourselves for the ritual, but I'm sure they don't need a whole potted plant for their little flying ritual.
so heading to Kirsabal.
Which would probably be.
Oh, did you want to detect magic on this thing? See if there's anything special about it?
I did, and it is magical. It holds all of her hate.
Are you messing with me right now?
Nope. That's what she said too.
Oh, maybe we did her a favor then.
So I believe with Wuce's new ranger abilities, it's about a 2-day journey to Kirsabal from here,
Holla.
kind of northeast.
Who's Woe Potato? Is that another potential player?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Being outside of most of the heavier undead territories on the far side of the river Oolong, travel goes by. Your 2 days of travel go by fairly uneventfully. You guys do anything in particular on your trek up towards Kirsabal?
I perpetually watch my back for Medusa.
Yeah, that's probably a good. It's probably a good idea.
And I practice my ranger undead tracking skills.
Hello.
Hey, Mark.
Oh, we were an hour early today or something.
Daylight savings time in America.
All right.
Yeah.
Not up to date on that. So
Yeah. No worries.
sorry, I guess.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, you're good. We're just dumb.
And then I chum it up with Asaka a little bit too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Zaka says as you guys are traveling, I've met a few of the Arakakra. They are overall nice people. they tend to keep them to themselves. But I've never been up to their home for obvious reasons. Their little village lies about 500 feet up in the cliffside. So I believe this will be another time that I will be remaining on the ground.
Well, hopefully we can get things situated with you for when we take off. If that becomes something we can do.
She says, I heard a rumor once that the Aarakocra of Kirsabal are protecting the last two remaining descendants of Omu. I don't know if this is true, but it's just what I've heard. If it is true, and Omu were to ever be revitalized, then that would mean that the Aarakocra are housing royalty.
When you say 500, is it so far up that we are gonna have to find an alternative way to get there, or can we climb?
Azaka says, well, it's not something that I would ever climb, but I suppose that you might be able to. It's been a while since I've been by Kirsabal, so I guess we won't know for sure till we get there.
Okay.
Or we get somebody to fly up there and get them to come get us.
I can just
Yeah.
walk up there.
That's true. You could do that. We freed the guy named Zephyr who lives there. He said to ask for him or Ashara when we arrive.
Yes, the Aarakocra should be hospitable as long as we come in peace.
No, we ain't trying to, steal anything from them yet.
Yet.
Well, that flower was for the greater good.
Exactly.
Who knows what untold powers we can unlock from it, though.
No, not this one again.
And so eventually, after a couple days of travel through the jungles up towards Kirsabal, you do eventually notice coming upon where you believe kind of Kirsabal to be. You see up in the cliff sides an ancient monastery that overlooks the jungle from its perch on the cliffs of a tall plateau ahead of you. You see stone steps and rickety walkways connect the various buildings, the lowest of which is 500 feet above the ground. You see the main building is a circular maze-like symbol carved into its crumbling facade. Every few minutes, birdfolk either land at the monastery or launch themselves from its balconies to take to the sky.
Try to wave at them, get their attention, use a mirror to reflect light, something like that.
Cast fireball at them. Just kidding. It's dark in here, though.
Let me try and see if I can fix that here.
There we go.
So this is kind of what you see from down below.
Oh, that's just scary looking at it.
This point here at the bottom of the ramps that are kind of broken away and crumbling, that's the lowest point. So this is 500 feet above the jungles. So you're kind of down on the jungle floors, looking up at these kind of ancient crumbling buildings set into the cliff
You know, if we've
face
got to try to climb over
high,
all of
high
that,
above you.
you
Yeah.
know, me and Sigmund is going to fall
Um,
sooner or later.
Oh yeah.
So you can climb up there, but it is going to require some um,
I mean, could Faye get us up
skill
there?
checks. Yeah. Uh,
I'll just start walking up there.
Yeah, maybe you can ask for Zephyr to come and pick us up.
Yeah, I guess I can. Hopefully that doesn't turn into a firefight.
Well, we freed him. He was in captivity.
Oh, right,
So I think-
right. Who do I ask for? I wasn't there.
His name is Zephyr.
Zephyr. Okay. I'll see about summoning him.
so you just
And
so
I start just walking up the cliff face, I guess.
okay. So give me an athletics check as you start to scale the cliffside up towards Kirsabal.
Do I need to? I mean, I have the cloak of arachnidia. I'm just walking up.
Oh, yeah,
directly
yeah,
wall.
yeah. Yeah, so basically, yeah, you just start to, walk up kind of like a little spider, and yeah, eventually you get up to the platforms, and um, uh, eventually, once you start nearing the nearing where the ramps are and some of the structures are, I think eventually an Aarakocra or two take notice of you, and they kind of land near where the lowest point is, and wait for you to make the rest of your ascent. Um,
Hey, I don't know. I guess I keep going up until I finish.
yeah, you eventually get to where the first set of platforms are set into the cliff face, and the two Aarakocra who have been waiting for you sort of gently approach you, and um, one of them just says, "Welcome to Kir Sabal. It has been some time that we've had a visitor from the outside. That's an interesting means of travel you have there. I've never.
Yeah, they're called legs.
Well, I've.
Jesus.
I haven't seen anyone just um, walk up the side of our hill face before. That's
Right. I'm sure there's a lot you haven't seen. Anyway, time is short, and I'm looking for Zephyr or something. Think my
uh,
friend saved him, and he owes us a favor.
yeah. One of them, the other one says, "Zephyr is here. He is one of our people. Um, we can fetch him. That's not a problem."
All right, cool.
And one of the birds flies up back towards the monastery, a couple levels above where you guys are now, and eventually he returns with another Aarakocra, who you wouldn't recognize, but he lands with the other two birds, and Zephyr says, "I do not recognize this person. I don't. What is it that you are doing here in Kirsabal?"
Well, if you went downstairs real quick, you'll recognize the group of people who saved you or something. I'm not too clear on the details, honestly.
The three birds look down over the ledge at the rest of you down on the jungle floors, and they Zephyr says, Well, let's go meet your friends then. And the three of them jump off of the platforms and fly down to the rest of you. They just kind of leave you up there, Sorey, at
I guess I start walking back down.
at the base of Kirsabal. Yeah, I mean, you can walk back down, or you can just wait if you want.
Actually, I'll just wait.
Yeah. The three birds land before the rest of you, and I think he probably recognizes Sigismund and Wuce right away. Zephyr says, as they all land, he says, "Ah, my saviors. It's been some time since we last met. I wasn't sure of how you would have fared. I thought maybe I would have seen you by now." He looks at you, Sigismund, and he says, "I see the islands have taken its toll on you. You look a bit different from when last we met."
That is true. It isn't easy just, getting here. But we have come to maybe take you up on the offer of help.
Zephyr says, "Well, you are welcome here at Kirsabal. We can assist you in getting up to our humble city, if you'd like."
That would be a wonderful start.
And Zephyr sends one of his buddies up to get a couple more Aarakocra, and they come back with enough to help you all get up to the platforms, and each Aarakocra just kind of takes you by the shoulders and flies you up to the landing.
I go over to our cat lady. I go, "Will you accept a spell from me?"
She kind of raises her eyebrow at you, and she says, "What spell is that, Garn?"
"I will stop you from being able to see the land, see around you."
Why would I
that
want?
might work.
Why would I want that?
So when you're flying up in the air, you don't go ape shit
Um,
and kill one of these birds. People.
Azaka says, "I am quite curious to see how these bird people live. I suppose it's going to be a bit safer than Firefinger. There looks like there's things to hold on to. At least if I get uncomfortable, I can go inside. So I guess I'll accept your spell."
Okay, I cast blindness on her.
Okay. And one of the Aarakocra grabs Azaka and flies her up as well.
They're gonna have fun with me. A dwarf in full plate mail.
Yeah, it probably takes two to get you up, Garn.
It's almost like they think I'm fat or something.
How
So
much do dwarves weigh?
Too much.
Yeah.
yeah, dwarves are pretty dense.
And that's not even their head. Come on, that was bad.
And as they get you all up to the first levels of Kirsabal, Zephyr just says, well, as long as you remain peaceful, and I think eventually you'll be wanting to speak to the teacher.
The who?
She is the leader of our people. We call her the teacher.
All right. And you could set up that meeting for us.
She's already been made aware of your presence here.
Beautiful.
Do y'all travel to the heart of Uptown?
From time to time.
Even with that creature in its place.
Since that woman has taken residence in the heart, we have avoided the place.
It's open again.
She's been evicted.
Zephyr says, well, that is good information to know. I believe that will make the teacher happy as well.
Yeah, we don't know when she'll be back though, but if she does come back, I'll get her.
Well,
Yes,
Zephyr,
if she comes back, the wizard will get her.
Zephyr says, well, you are welcome to explore our humble little city here. If you visit the temple, just be courteous and don't touch anything.
Everybody looks at Sorey.
But you will, but you'll find that the Arakakra of Kirsabal are all very welcoming people, and you will be treated kindly here as long as you choose to remain.
Woo.
When is the meeting? Or when might it be? How much time do we have, rather?
The teacher is currently busy instructing, obviously, but she will be able to meet with you later this evening, where you will most likely be brought to her quarters at the top of the city.
Okay. Does anyone have to do anything until then?
No, not really, but we should probably discuss how much we're willing to tell them about what we have.
Okay. Good idea.
Yeah, because I specifically think we need to wait until they bring up the orchid before we say we have it. Let's see if they ask us to go find it. That might give us some, extra brownie points or loot or something.
Let them tell us how much we actually need for the spell, and then from there we can determine how much more worth we can suck out of them.
Well, while you guys talk about that, why don't you jump into the secret channel, Mark?
Yes.
So you're just gonna play Thalia, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that I gave you a character sheet already, but
Okay. Can't you port over the?
oh yeah,
character sheet of
you know what? I guess I could probably do that. Yeah.
All right. I
I
was just about to ask
yeah,
if I have to fill it out again.
no, I should have just done that.
Okay.
So I guess this would here in Kirsabal might be a good place for the party to meet you. You could have already been here.
Okay.
And maybe it's something like I don't know how familiar are you with like the Tomb of Annihilation in this adventure.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
basically, there's this death curse going on right now. There's this thing called the Soulmonger, which is basically anyone that anyone that dies right now, their soul gets sucked into this thing called the Soulmonger, and it's feeding some strange entity. That's what people think is going on, and so the location of this device has been pinpointed to this island of Cholt here, and so since that's been discovered, basically people have been flocking here to try and solve the riddle of the Soulmonger and discover it and destroy it. So when people die, they can be resurrected again and they don't get sucked into this evil device. So groups and parties of adventurers all over the past months and months have all been flocking here, and most of them have failed and died in the jungles. And so I think it's like pretty um, pretty easy to say that you were with a party of adventurers, and they were all killed in the jungles, and you almost died too, but the Aarakocra saved you, and they brought you up here, and you've been living up here for a few days or a week or something until you can like fully recover and find a way back to like Port Nine Zaru or something.
Hmm. And like I talked with Faye a
Uh-huh.
little bit about it,
Yeah.
and she was like she told me that like our party, like from the Saturday group, the Sunday group, sorry, like went to the island as well, to save Yuna's character that
Uh-huh.
was
Yeah.
killed, and like
And you weren't with them then.
I or did she tell you something as well or something?
No, she didn't. But what I was thinking is like it could have been something where like you went back home to the Heartvale or whatever, and
Hmm.
they came here to Cholt without you, and then you came later with some like new adventurers or something.
Hmm.
And so like, you know, Faye hasn't seen you in a long time. But what was the thing that she was saying?
We were like thinking like the crew that was supposed to bring us here like kind of screwed us over. They set us on like small boats and then left us in the ocean. And then when we landed on the island, we were captured by so a group of I'm not quite sure. Like is there like like a militant group or something?
They'd probably be like the Flaming Fist mercenaries.
Yeah, we got captured by, for example, those, and then they released the their prisoners one by one into the zombie-infested lands for fun. But we can go with your story if you want to.
Oh no,
It doesn't
no,
really matter.
that totally works because that's like something that has already happened to the party.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So can I like keep my gear,
yeah. You'll keep
Thalia?
you'll keep all your gear.
Okay. So they Thalia did not really resist to getting captured by those people because he thought that maybe they will harm her. And so they thought that she didn't know how to fight, and so they released her with her gear,
Yeah,
so to see if she can um, like stand a chance. And they thought she didn't, but she did. So
yeah, yeah,
and then we just need a link to like get me to the bird to the
yeah. So
bird.
you probably would have gotten probably like basically beaten to the point of like inches from your life in the
Mm-hmm.
jungles or whatever, or you would have
Mm-hmm.
gotten dehydrated or passed out from food, and the Aarakocra probably found you
Yep.
and brought you up here. Yeah,
They just rescued me. Yeah.
yeah.
That's okay. That's fine.
And I think I might be able to. Let me see if I can transfer your character over right now.
That would be nice. Yes.
Yeah, it would be helpful if Faye showed up because when the party sees you, she would recognize you immediately, right?
Yes. Yes. Of course. So maybe you wanna stall a little bit before
Yeah,
I get to do that.
I'm,
So
I'm,
I don't mind like even if I would only get to play like at the end or something.
yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah, I'm trying to
wouldn't
stall.
mind. Hmm. Did Yuna write something that she doesn't come today or something?
I didn't hear from her. No.
Okay. I thought she was.
She was on the fence,
Around.
or she said she
Okay.
had something to do.
Okay.
So I think if you might have to refresh.
Oh, I can open it. Or maybe I can have to refresh because I can't access it yet. I can only like go to the first. Oh no, now it's working.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice. So yeah, got put on.
Okay, yeah.
Got got. Yeah, so that works. When you guys sailed here, got captured by Flaming Fist, and one by one they sent you out into the jungles. Basically as sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
And
Yeah.
The Arakakra kind of saved you from certain death, and you've been here probably not for super long, but but yeah, and then let's hopefully Faye shows up soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
That would be nice. Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, sorry about that. But hello?
I'm here.
Hey guys, who am I?
So 4 gallons of beer or 1 gallon of wine?
You guys are making alcohol to kill time?
Yeah, let's do the beer, I guess.
Okay. So me and we start drinking beer out of the alchemy jug.
Nice.
I also have a booze jug of random creation, so a random spirit.
Let's trust in that too.
Okay, just mix it all together.
We could do shots.
No, I mean, we have our own mugs too, so.
It's a 0.75, so basically a handle.
So where are you guys doing this stuff at? Like just kind of chilling on one of the platforms?
Yeah, we're waiting. Where are they?
Yeah, so they basically drop you off just like right down here.
Wait, do you have like a public like hangout spot?
Yeah, the monastery would probably be a good public hangout spot, or also
Also, what?
there's a like one or two maybe empty buildings that are just not currently occupied. Maybe people live there, but they're empty right now. But the monastery would probably be like a hangout spot or a common area of sorts, which would be the largest central structure, kind of right up here.
Is there a pretty good view of Chult from up here?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You want to watch the sunset?
Is it that time of day?
A map again.
It's probably like mid-afternoon. As you guys are yeah, so I guess we should just determine if you guys like go up to the temple, or are you just hanging out kind of on the platforms or in one of the empty buildings?
I'll go visit the temple.
So as you guys are making your way up towards the temple, walking rounding up through the platforms and making your way up in that direction, you notice something kind of funny. Walking towards you is like a little boy. He looks like he's maybe 6 years old, and he's wearing like a costume that makes him look like an Aarakocra. And as he kind of meets the party, he just kind of stops there and looks up at you, and he says hi. And he has like a little wooden plane in one of his hands, uh, that looks like it's like very complicated, like it's um, like it looks like he can wind up the propeller, and the like the wings and the tail like have moving parts, and and he says, "You want to see my plane fly?"
Sure.
So he winds the propeller, and he holds it, and he makes sure that the tail and the wings are properly operating, and he kind of turns towards the platform to face out off the cliff side, and he he brings the plane back up next to his head, and before he lets it go, he like looks up at you guys kind of excitedly, and then he lets the plane go, um, and it kind of flies out, and does a big wide loop, and then comes and lands right back into his hand, and he kind of laughs, um, and he says, "My name is Na."
Nice to meet you, now.
Um,
Want
says
some beer?
uh, he says, "No, I don't think the teacher would want me to drink that. Um, are you here to learn from the teacher too?"
Maybe. All depends on what she has to teach.
"Oh, the teacher knows all kinds of things. She's very old, but very wise. Do you guys want to see the temple?"
Sure, show us the temple.
Um, he says, "Okay, but you guys look kind of dirty, so we need to stop in the cleansing chamber first." And he walks you to this building here, and when you step inside, it is like a washroom of sorts. The Aarakocra tend to ritually cleanse themselves in this building before visiting the monastery. This is also where they leave offerings for the teacher. Um, and so there are like our little offerings. There's like a corner with little offerings of different kinds of flowers or um, stones and things like that. And um, so in the lower chamber here, when you first come in, there's a wash basin for um, uh, cleaning yourselves, and washing your hands and face and things like that. um, there's also sorry. There's also little vessels of salt and powdered chalk and gold dust that the Aarakocra tend to sprinkle onto their feathers before going up and visiting the monastery. The upper chamber contains a wooden case with shelves of candles and headscarves for visitors of the monastery. And you see Na take a candle and wrap a scarf around his neck. Um, and After you guys go through the cleansing chambers, like Na kind of tells you, like, okay, wash your hands. He's like showing you how to do all the stuff in through the cleansing chamber. Um, he takes some of the gold dust, and he like sprinkles it on your beard, Garn, and like on your fur Wuce, and so you're all sparkling and um, he kind of looks you all over one by one once he's done like directing you through the cleansing ritual, and once he's decided that you've all been properly cleansed to his satisfaction, he brings you up through the second level up to uh, up towards the oh, I'm breaking up.
You were.
Oh, actually, there's he brings you up to the monastery. So when you first walk in through the doors of the monastery, the entrance hall of the monastery also appears to be a dining chamber of sorts. The Arakakra monks take all their meals here, but it is also where meetings take place. The Arakakra use backless benches and stools for seats to accommodate their wings, and the tables in this first room that you uh, come through, they look like they can seat about 20 people. So
we're here?
I'll
What? Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So are you just going to wait here for the elder, or do you guys want to further explore?
Yeah,
this is most likely where you'll be meeting.
The kid was bringing us here to go to the temple, so I'm
Yeah.
letting him guide us.
Okay.
Didn't someone want to check out the markets, see what's in stock?
Is there a market here?
I don't know that there's necessarily a market, but you probably could buy supplier provisions.
Where would I go and do that?
You just probably have to speak to one of the Arakakra.
Okay. Well, then I would like to purchase some more incense and salve and things.
Yeah, so when you guys come into the refectory, the little dining hall here, there's nobody currently present in this room, but Na says, "Come, follow me. The prayer hall's right through here." And he goes through the door, and when he opens that door into the next room, there are a few Arakakra in the main prayer hall. You see that the Arakakra that are inhabiting the monastery live kind of as monks. While in the monastery, they all wear prayer bead necklaces and they paint labyrinth patterns on their beaks, hands, and feet. There's a large circular labyrinth symbol of Tau that's painted on the face of the monastery building that you guys had seen from the jungle floors on the monastery when you were down below. So they kind of paint their beaks in that labyrinth style pattern. As you move into the main hall of the monastery, it's an impressive sight. The rafters of the ceiling are about 60 feet above your heads, and the peak of the thatched roof is about 15 feet above that. So it's about 75 feet high in the main monastery hall. The space is actually large enough that the Aarakocra can fly inside of it. They seldom do, though, for the sake of decorum. And there's a circular labyrinth symbol of Ubtao that's laid out on the floor. The mosaic is 25 feet in diameter, and the Aarakocra monks spend much of their day meditating while viewing the labyrinth from the lower and upper landings of the staircase. Other Aarakocra come here only on special occasions, usually, such as weddings and funerals and holy days. So there's kind of a balcony in the main chambers of the temple that you can step out onto and kind of look out over, Cholt.
Okay, well, I would like to sit out on the balcony and continue drinking the wine and waiting for the elder.
Sure. Na says, "This is where me and my sister have to come to pray."
Why are you here? You look slightly different than the other Aarakocra.
He he kind of flaps his wings, and he says, "The teacher says that me and my sister are very important. That if the city of Omu ever returns to its former glory, that we'll be its rulers."
So you are the last descendants, then?
Na says, "Yeah, everyone else in Omu is dead. The teacher says that me and my sister are the only ones left. She says we're very important to the future of Cholt."
Wow.
And does she suspect that, your importance will be relevant soon?
She says that one day Ubtao will return, and he will restore Omu, and then everything will be good again, and we can rule the island, and everyone will like us.
Okay. When you rule, please remember me.
He says, "I'm good at remembering things, so I'll try not to forget."
Thank you. Are you going to get the teacher, or does she just show up at some predetermined time here?
Na says, "I can go see what she's doing."
I think that will be wonderful.
So he kind of darts up one of the set of stairs, and you hear his little footsteps wrap around and go up another set. He kind of disappears up above, out through the upper portions of the monastery. There are a few Aarakocra kind of standing on the different levels of the main chamber here in the monastery. They're all kind of standing in silent meditation and prayer.
I go into the room with the table and everything, grab cups, and bring them back into the room and start handing them out to the Aarakocra. And then give them beer.
They politely decline. One of them says, "It is not appropriate to imbibe during our time of meditation, but perhaps later we can partake in your fine brew, Dwarf."
Sure. Hey, we're all here to have fun and praise our gods. Har! You're God. What's his name?
It seems that the Aarakocra here still worship Tau.
Uptow! Yay, Uptow! I don't know anything about Uptow. And before you start, I don't want to know.
Okay, he was about to start, so.
I know. He's a nut. They can't shut up.
Yeah.
Unless they took a vow of silence. Then you can't get them talking unless you give them drink. So I'm going back into the other room because, I don't want to mess up their meditation. And I want to drink.
Yeah, sure.
I will be sitting on the platform here, smoking a pipe and drinking, waiting for the leader. I don't know what anyone else is doing though.
Okay, sure. Wuce, Sorey. Guys gonna try and get into any trouble or just kind of chill?
Let's see if Nas wants to play bar dice with me.
Oh my god.
Not just to see if he knows the game. If he doesn't, I'll teach it to him.
Well, he's kind of gone up to go and see what the teacher's doing. So he's kind of ran out of the temple.
Are all the Aarakocra meditating, or
the ones that are here seem to be painted and are currently like on duty, so to speak.
would it be rude to can I like talk to one of them without interrupting their meditation?
Yeah, no, they'll speak with you. Yeah.
And they're all painted up.
Yeah, their beaks and hands and feet are all painted with kind of orange paint in kind of that labyrinth type design.
Okay, so I go up to one. Would it be inappropriate for me to paint myself up? Sir? Aarakocra?
He says, well, that depends on if you are truly a believer of Tau.
I'm a believer of many things.
Well, why is it that you would like to paint yourself then?
You ever hear the saying, when in Rome?
If you would like to take part in our prayer, then you may do as you please. Perhaps you will find guidance.
Yeah, for sure.
So you'd probably find the paints back down in the cleansing chamber, just down below where you guys had come up through.
All right, I go there. And I try and, to the best of my ability, mimic their painting.
Yeah, so do you just do like your face or you do like your whole body?
I mimic them.
Okay, yeah, so like your hands and feet and like snout.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
And then I come back up and see if I can try and gain some guidance, I guess.
Well, one thing that does happen is as you kind of stand with the other monks and try and clear your mind, a great sense of peace does kind of settle over you. It's like just the energy that this place has and that the Aarakocra here kind of exude. Um, and probably for the first time in a long time, like any real sense of peace does kind of settle over you here in the temple. You can't think of the last time where you haven't been, you know, in a place where you know, weren't probably about to be torn apart by undead or oh shit. I think I just booted myself from the game.
Did you cut out there, or what happened?
Yeah, I did. I got booted from Roll20.
Lame.
And you get the sense that that the Aarakocra do still truly believe in that Ubtao will return to Chult and bring the island and Omu back to its former glory, and they're kind of the last vestige that remains of the 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 god, as most people have moved on and believe that Ubtao has abandoned them. The Aarakocra here are the only ones who still to truly remain faithful.
I guess I'll continue to be still in the moment and meditate, I guess.
Sigismund and Sorey, what are you guys doing?
I'll just
What?
stand on the balcony and look out over Chult, waiting.
With Riceak? With Riceak?
Yeah. Offer a little prayer to Lyra in this house of heathens.
Nice.
I'm becoming very impatient. Where is this teacher person?
So a little while later, maybe 15 minutes or so, Na returns, but not with an Aarakocra. He comes back. He comes kind of tumbling down the stairs a little too fast faster than his feet can carry him, and then coming down behind him is a beautiful younger girl. She is not wearing an Aarakocra costume. She's got kind of like a pale pale pink like satin dress on. Um, she looks like she's maybe like 17 years old or right around that age range.
Legal.
She's got um, she's got kind of a long brown hair that goes down her back, um, and she slowly kind of descends the staircase, um, trying to like put out an appearance of poise and regalness. But you can tell that she's kind of excited to see people that aren't Aarakocra. Uh, um, and she descends the last set of stairs, um, She steps out onto the balcony with you, Rychek, and Sigismund, and she says, "Hello. I was not aware that we had visitors. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Waxanar. I am the future queen of Cholt."
Well, hello, your future highness.
Did I hear
Probably.
that? A child! What power could you possibly wield?
Never mind the wizard. If you want to, you could throw him over this balcony. I don't think anyone would stop you.
Yes.
With that.
The last time somebody tested my power.
She kind of glares over at you, Sorey, and she says, "Oh, I know nobody would stop me from doing that." I keep getting
So I
booed.
take it you're Nar's sister then.
Yes, Na. She says, "Yes, Na is my brother." Sorry, I keep getting booted from Roll20 for some reason. I keep getting booted out of the game. But she does say, "Yes, these monks would toss your friend here from the balcony from one word from me."
That is very good to know.
But she looks back at you, Sigismund, and she says, "But you don't seem quite as rude as your friend here."
I would hope not.
He's a little rough around the edges, but he's a good magic user. He comes through in a pinch.
She says, "Well, what are your names, gentlemen?"
I am Sigismund. Nice to meet you.
Rychek.
And she says, "Well, how are you enjoying Kir Sabal so far?"
I like what I see.
It's unconventional, but you know, the view is pretty.
She says, "The view is all I have here. Tell me, what is it like out there in the world these days? I've been here my whole life. I haven't been able to leave. How are the people? Do they talk about me?"
I'm afraid there's not a whole lot of talk of the old ways. People have their problems these days. I don't know if you can see it from up here, but this entire island is basically overrun by horrid creatures. And
I
there's
think the future queen of Cholt would know.
Oh boy.
She says, "Creatures? What kind of creatures?"
The dead ones. Or undead, I should say.
She says,
Not to mention the liches. And for some damn reason, what are they called? Those giants. Frost giants at that.
She says, "So the people don't speak of me and await my return?"
The people don't even know you exist, child.
There is no people.
That too.
You can see, like, tears kind of welling up in the corners of her eyes, and she kind of turns and runs back up the stairs.
Don't worry, there will be.
And Nas says she cries a lot.
Well, it must be difficult for you guys.
Nas says, yeah, we aren't allowed to leave. The teacher says it's too dangerous for us out there right now. But one day we'll be able to leave, and when we do, we'll be in charge of everything.
Yep, you guys will definitely be in charge.
I bite my tongue.
Do you bite your tongue at me, sir?
That's not what I mean. I mean, I hold back from.
Yeah, I know. I'm teasing.
Won't need another child crying.
Yahtzee.
And we're about halfway now, so let's take like a quick 5.
So when your town gets saved, who's going to rule?
Nas says, well, the teacher says that my sister is the rightful heir of Omu. That
What?
she will be queen.
I was asking the little boy. Nah is his name, I think.
Am I not coming through? Can you guys not hear me?
Oh, we just heard you. Maybe you got kicked.
Oh. Yeah, he's Na says well, the teacher says that my sister is the rightful heir of Omu. And one day she will be queen.
And what will you be?
I guess I will be prince.
Tell me, child, are you so detached in your isolation that none of you are taught of the things that are going down in the lands below?
What's going on in the lands below? The teacher teaches us lots of things.
But nothing of current events?
She just says that one day will be very important to the island. And then when it returns to its former glory, we will be here to inspire the people once again.
When it returns to its former glory, that's a lot of optimism. I'd say if.
Why are you ruining this child's optimism?
Ruining this child's optimism? They've taught him.
You're like the worst babysitter ever.
He is like, Na does seem to be like unflinchingly optimistic, and it seems like he's trying to understand what you're saying, but he doesn't really get it, you know? Whereas, you know, his sister, you basically crush your spirits into instantaneously. She probably is old enough to know that something else is up, because, but it does seem that the Arakakra are teaching these kids that you know, they're not giving them the whole story.
Well, child, perhaps one day you'll learn from experience.
Yeah, and we're about halfway through the session, so let's do like a quick 5-minute break or so.
All right.
Get up and stretch your legs.
Indeed.